Hello, I hope you are doing well with the tax return. So today I'm going to share some of my personal experience in filing tax return as a resident alien. So hopefully my presentation would bring some help to you, but of course I'm not an expertise, so I may make mistakes. Today I'm going to cover first, determine the status, second, applicable tax treaty, and then I will talk about forms you need to file for federal tax return, especially if you're using a tax treaty. Then some tax return software. Finally, where to mail the tax return. So a little bit about myself. I am a PhD student in United States, and this year I become a resident alien. And this brings a lot of change to my federal tax return. So that's the reason I make this presentation, and I want to share some of my personal experience. So to determine the status, whether you are a resident alien or a non-resident alien, so there's a lot of reference talking about this issue. You can find those topics in this reference. And I just want to talk about my personal example. So I entered United States for the first time in July 2014 on F1 visa and leave United States in the same year. And next year I re-enter US still on F1 visa and stayed in United States on the same status. And till now I've been in this country. So I have 5 years of exemption from 2014 to 2018. And on January 1st, 2019, I became a resident alien for federal tax purpose. So after I determine my status, I have a question whether the tax treaty is still applicable for me. I find it that generally only a non-resident alien individual may use the terms of a tax treaty to reduce or eliminate US federal tax on income from a scholarship or fellowship grant. However, there are several exceptions. And I find that the income treaty between the United States and People's Republic of China is such an exception. For more details, you can read the publication 901 and publication 519, especially chapter 9, which explains a lot about tax treaties. So I find even I become a resident alien, I can still use the tax treaty between US and China. So how to apply the tax treaty? In most cases, you will not need to report income on your form 1040 or 1040 SR because the income will be exempt from United States tax under the treaty. However, if the income has been reported as taxable income on a Form W-2, Form 1042-S, Form 1099, or other information return, you should report it on 1040 or 1040 SR. So how to do that? First, you need to report the amount on the appropriate line of Form 1040, for example, line 1. Then you need to enter the amount for which treaty benefits are claimed in parentheses on line 8, Schedule 1. Next to the amount, write exempt income, the name of the treaty country, and the treaty article that provides the exemption. Finally, you combine this amount with amounts reported on line 1 through 7 in Part 1, Schedule 1, and report the total on line 9. Enter this amount on line 7A of Form 1040 or 1040 SR. So it sounds a little bit complicated, but I want to show you an example. So for example, I receive a W-2 form with a wage of $15,000 and 1042-S form with a scholarship of about $29,000. So this is what I put in the Schedule 1 form. And just a reminder, the negative numbers are represented in parentheses. So for the Article 20C of the treaty between US and China, I can exempt $5,000 and use the Article 20B of the same treaty. I can exempt all of my scholarship. And I also find that to apply the tax treaty, you also need to fill page 2, not page 1, just page 2 of Form 1040 NREZ. And this page is basically to collect some information about the tax treaty. And the Form 8833 is officially not required, but strongly recommended for application of the tax treaty. And for more information, you can go to these 2 reference web pages. So it means that if you want to use the tax treaty, basically you cannot do the e-file through internet, and you need to download everything, print the files, and mail it. So I tried 2 different softwares. One of them is TurboTax. I find that it can deal with Form 1040S, which is for my scholarship, and also the tax treaty. And you can find these related discussions, for example, in this forum. However, I find that the free version of TurboTax does not support features for the tax treaty, at least this year. That's what I find. So my personal recommendation is to do everything except the tax treaty using software, and then manually do the adjustments to apply the tax treaty. And finally, I'm going to talk about where to mail the tax return. Of course, if you are not claiming a tax treaty, you just need to return to the filing address for the Form 1040. But if you are claiming a tax treaty benefit as a resident alien, you should mail your tax return to the filing address for the Form 1040 NR. Well, I find it is very counterintuitive. But I find this in 2 of these websites. So I believe maybe there's some truth in it. Okay. So hopefully you still enjoy the tax return. And I wish you the best luck. Thank you.